I gotta head to work soon. Also, this is not Dune. I kind of got distracted. But, uh, welcome back to Thetis. Um, to the Grey Wardens, uh, the Broken Circle, the Dwarven, I don't know, whatever you want to say. Welcome back to Dragon Age. I reviewed Dragon Age Origins, I reviewed Dragon Age 2, and I reviewed one of the prequel novels written by David Geiger. David Geiger is a lead writer in Dragon Age. Um, and there's two novels, I missed one of them, that takes place before the events of the first game, Dragon Age Origins, and then just go straight into Dragon Age 2, and then there's two novels that take place before Dragon Age Inquisition and a couple of comics. Today, I am here to discuss a comic books, actually three separate comic books, but that are all related with the main story. Um, why? Because I read them, and I thought, why not share my thoughts with you? I don't even know what I'm going to title this video, but my hair's getting insane. It's far too hot, too. Anyway, but we have Dragon Age, the first comic being The Silent Grove, by David Geiger. He is the writer of this. Again, David Geiger is one of the lead writers of Dragon Age Origins and 2, so it makes sense that he, for expanded material, is one of the main ones to do it. And I think there's been other authors, but he's the primary one because he's a big part of the franchise. So, one fun thing, if you're a Star Wars lover, is that this is made by Dark Horse, who made a lot of good comics back in the day. These are pretty decent too. But this might be a good introduction to the universe for you. You might be very confused. I don't really know. But it does help if you know about Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2, because the main characters in this are Alistair, Isabella, and Varric. Isabella and Varric are companions that you have in Dragon Age 2. Varric's this larger-than-life, kind of great, phenomenal character who loves to tell tall tales and stories. And the whole backdrop to Dragon Age 2 is that the story is being told backward, because Varric is being interrogated by someone, and he's telling the story of you, the champion of Kirkwall in Dragon Age 2, because he was with you during your adventures. So he's back with Isabella and Alistair, who, at least as far as BioWare is concerned and as far as David Geiger is concerned, Alistair is King of Ferelden at this time, at the end of Dragon Age, which, in my version, he didn't accept the fact that I let Loghain survive, so he ended up becoming a drunkard. Though, for more story potential, I changed that into the Dragon Age Keep for Dragon Age Inquisition, so that way he will be alive. Along with Loghain also being alive, because story potential. But anyway, so one cool thing is that in Dragon Age, there's a lot of places we get told about, but we never really get to see in the games. So Antiva's talked about a lot in Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2, but we never actually get to visit it. So here we get to see it. And Alistair is on a quest with Varric and Isabella, and this takes place after Dragon Age 2, to find his father, because his father went missing, was never actually, the body was never found. So they're trying to look for the former King of Ferelden. And just being able to see Dragon Age 2 companions, Varric and Isabella, interact with Alistair is a lot of fun for me. We also learned throughout these that there is another witch, a sister to Morgan, which is insane to me. And we're getting hints in this one of a backstory for Isabella. And the series kind of ends. They're going to go on their next mission, and that bleeds into the next comic book, which is Those Who Speak, which is also by David Geiger. But this first 6 issues really focus. I mean, it's got all of them, but the perspective's mainly on Alistair. However, we switch gears here. As the story continues, they're all still trying to help out Alistair, but we get a more focus on Isabella, who's one of your companions in Dragon Age 2. And we get to see Tevinter, which I believe you get to see in Inquisition, but, you know, we never got to see Tevinter before. It's always been talked about as this place controlled by mages. One of your companions in Dragon Age 2 is fervently against it because he was a slave to it. But there's a man that Isabella hates. We later learn things about him, but I won't spoil it for you. We also get to see female Qunari for the first time. Now, you would see it in Dragon Age Inquisition because you have an option as playing as a Qunari and you can play as a female. But before that, we'd never seen any female Qunari. Also, one of the coolest things about this comic is it establishes that Sten, who was a Qunari from Dragon Age Origins, who was your companion, or could be your companion in the game, is now the new Ereshkigal. At the end of Dragon Age 2, well, in the end of the second act of Dragon Age 2, the champion of Kirkwall, you, takes out the Ereshkigal leader. Well, most likely, if you care about Isabella, you did. And so now Sten has become the new one. We also get to see the whole entire backstory of Isabella and her actual name, and her mother, who fully fell in love with the Qun, like the religious thing that the Qunari believe in, and when Isabella wouldn't get behind it, her mom sold her into slavery. So, kind of sucks. And later on, she was on a mission, and this is what kind of makes her in Dragon Age 2 fervently against slavery, is because she gets tricked into doing a mission, kind of like I think Han does once, one of the Star Wars Expanded Universe books. But she's getting chased by Qunari or whatever, and the ship isn't going fast enough, so they drop their cargo. And what's their cargo? It's slaves. And they're all bound up and stuff, so they all drown. Which is really dark and kind of sucks. We also have Sten versus Alistair, which is really fun. But they end up, you know, making amends, and now they're working together to help Alistair find this guy, because there's this mage who's like doing stuff and knows where Alistair's father is. And that's where we get into Until We Sleep, by David Geiger. We learn that Alistair's family has blood in it because his grandfather drank dragon blood. We get to see the fate of King Merrick, who, again, was the main character of The Stolen Throne. And he's also in the book I didn't read, which takes place after that. But he's not as much of a main character in that. And we see the life that he's been living, and it's awful. And you know, this and that second one, of course, I mentioned the second comic focuses mostly on Isabella more. This one focuses on Varric more. And we get to see the origin of Bianca. Now, Bianca, for those of you who don't know, I don't know why you're watching this video, but in Dragon Age 2, Varric has this awesome crossbow. He's like the only one in a setting that has a crossbow. Everybody else uses like bow and arrows and stuff, but he has a crossbow. It's his pride and joy, and he calls it Bianca. Anytime that your character asks him about it, he doesn't tell you what it is, or why it's called Bianca. Same thing with Dragon Age Inquisition. I don't know if he eventually tells you, but early on in the game, if you ask Varric, why'd you name it Bianca, he says, I'm not ready to tell you that yet. I don't really know you. So, yeah, we get to see his wife and everything. And it's in a vision, or like a false reality, but still, it shows the level of love he must have had for his wife, because now he's named his pride and joy after her. But yeah, so we learn the fate of King Merrick. He's gone forever. Alistair goes back to being king, and everything goes back to the hunky-doriness until Dragon Age Inquisition, which I won't get into here. One funny thing I did notice is that King Merrick at one point did mention that Loghain's with him in like the afterlife, which means canonically, at least to David Geiger, that Loghain is dead. But I'm cool, because I managed to get Alistair to marry Anora, and I managed to get Loghain to survive. So they're all alive in my world state, but but that's it. It's a little fun adventure that takes place after the events of Dragon Age 2, and it's really fun to see Alistair and Varric and Isabella interact, and to get to understand them as people a little bit better, because they do a lot of posturing, they do a lot of joking in Dragon Age 2, and they clearly care about other people, but they are not prone to talk about themselves, at least not super deeply. They don't seem to like doing it, which is something I can relate to. But it's really fun. But after this, I gotta get to Dune, and I gotta get back to Star Wars because it's Star Wars, right? Everybody wants to hear about Star Wars. But I will be coming back to the small expanded universe there is of the Dragon Age games. There's 2 novels. I want to read those eventually before I play Dragon Age Inquisition because that's going to be a very, 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 very long game, and I will not finish it for a long time, especially with how busy I am nowadays. But that's something I want to get into. But that's pretty much it, guys. So I mean, if you haven't played Dragon Age, this is gonna make no sense to you. But I hope if you have played Dragon Age or something or anything like that, perhaps this interests you in checking out these comics and seeing what they're about because I think they're actually pretty good. And if you also happen to read these for some reason you haven't actually played Dragon Age, maybe it will get you into it. It's a good franchise, and they haven't made a bad game yet. I don't think. Even Dragon Age 2 has its flaws, but I still think it's a good game overall. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, showing up a ton. And next time, I'll see you when we walk with rhythm in the Dune prequel. So then, guys, may the Force be with you. Wait. May the Maker watch over you. Bye-bye.